That's why I can't find him.
Yeah, he's on your arraignment record.
Okay, thank you. Come on.
Here's page 1. This is the
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yep. Oh, I know exactly. I remember this.
Sir, good morning. Please tell me your name.
One moment, Your Honor. I'm trying to connect to the
No
podium.
problem. We are in BRC 1.
I remember this.
He can hear the interpreter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sir, please tell me your name.
Señor, por favor, díganos su nombre.
Braulio Romualdo Miranda Gómez. Romualdo Miranda Gómez.
Braulio Romaldo Miranda Gomez.
Mr. Gomez, you are here for a status hearing on your out-of-county Sumter case. It's 20 CT 94. I spoke with the judge in Sumter County, and he has authorized me to accept a plea. If you'd like to enter a plea to the,
One moment, Your Honor. I'm sorry. The interpreter is going to try to connect to the podium again. I'm having horrible feedback. 1 second, please.
okay. Ma'am, are you there?
I'm here, Your Honor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
1 moment again.
sure.
Ahora sí, gracias.
He can hear the interpreter now, Your Honor. Hopefully I won't have that feedback.
Sure, no problem. Sir, if you would like to resolve your case today, can you hear?
Sí,
Yes.
The judge in Sumter County has authorized a plea of an adjudication of guilt and credit for time served. Did you want to accept that plea?
sí.
Yes.
All right. And you would be pleading no contest to failure to obtain a Florida driver's license. Mr. Gomez, did you have an opportunity to read the plea form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights that you're giving up?
No.
No.
Are you on probation?
Estaba, pero ya lo pagué. A mi esposa el día de ayer fue al condado ese y mi agente de aprobación dijo que ya yo estaba bien, que nomás iba a hablar acá a la corte para decirle que estaba bien allá.
I was, but I paid off everything yesterday. My wife went and paid, and she talked to the probation officer, and he said it was everything was fine over there. That I just have to come to court here.
It looks like this is a VOP. Is this the case that you were on probation for?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, do you understand that if you are not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Sí, lo sé.
Yes, I know.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No estoy-
No, I'm fine.
Sir, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, revoke and terminate your probation, sentence you to, how many days is Mr. Glenn say?
5 days, Your Honor.
5 days in the Orange County Jail. You have credit for 5 days' time served. And you will need to pay your outstanding court costs. You'll need to report to the Sumter County Clerk of Court within 30 days to establish a payment plan, sir. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing. Does Mr. Gomez have any other holds?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gomez, you're going to be released today. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, may the interpreter get that case number again, please?
Yes, ma'am. 20 CT 94.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was failure to obtain a Florida driver's license.
Is that the only case for the interpreter for?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.
You're welcome. You do the same. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Tell me your name, please.
James Clayton.
Mr. Clayton, you were here in 20 CF 11598. You were arrested for battery on a person 65 years of age or older. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Clayton, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things if necessary, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. Your bond is $1,000. Thank you. Mr. Clayton, do you have any questions about anything that I ordered?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Delmar Martin.
Mr. Martin, you were here in 20 CF 10711. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for burglary of an occupied conveyance, battery, dating violence, and petty theft of $100 or more. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to return to the scene. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $500. Your bond on count 2 will be $100. Your bond on count 3 is $500. I'm also going to place you on pretrial release. Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name?
Oh, the Clinton that.
Mr. Ned, this is 20 CF 11311. You were arrested for battery by strangulation, domestic violence,
Yes, ma'am.
and aggravated battery on a pregnant person. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You're to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. You may have a one-time return to the house to get your things if needed. I am going to place you on pretrial release at this time, sir.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
No, not really. Just, am I gonna go home today?
You will go home today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you have a nice day.
Good morning, sir. Your name?
Willie Tigner, ma'am.
Mr. Tigner, you have 3 cases. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in all 3. You have 20 CF 11524. You were arrested for armed kidnapping, aggravated battery with a firearm, domestic violence, and aggravated stalking after an injunction. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. Did the state want to be heard with respect to bond as to count 1?
Your Honor, for the armed kidnapping, at this time, the state is not going on proof evident presumption great. However, the state would request a a $50,000 bond as to count one, and then that his bonds remain at none for the failures to appear.
Okay. Ms. Felter, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Did Mr. Tigner fill out a financial?
He did.
Okay. Your Honor, the defense just asked for the bond to be reduced to an amount that Mr. Tigner could financially afford. He needs to get out and be able to discuss this with his attorneys. At this time, we're just asking, Your Honor, to consider lowering the bond to within his financial means.
Mr. Tigner, I'm going to order that you are not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms, and you are not to return to her home. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Bond on count 1 is going to be $75,000. Bond on count 2 will be $5,000. Bond on count 3 is $5,000. Sir, you also have case number 19 CF 4084. You failed to appear for court, and in that matter, your bond is set at none. You also have 20 CF 2757, where you also failed to appear for court, and in that matter, your bond is also set at none. Your lawyer can file a bond motion in the respective division, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, your name?
J.J. Brown.
Mr. Brown, you were here in case number 20MM6993. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There is probable cause, sir. I'm looking at your affidavit that you completed for the public defender, and it indicates that you make $1,100 every 2 weeks and you don't have any dependents. Is that correct?
I have a son, but I don't claim him. My baby mother does.
Okay, but do you provide support?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'm gonna change this on your application to one dependent.
Okay.
Would he qualify? Okay, so I just made that correction, and I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things if needed, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I will place you on pretrial release at this time, sir. Thank you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Brown?
Pardon?
Do you have any questions?
You said, what was the last thing you said?
That you're going to be on pretrial release.
Okay.
So you'll be released later today. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Paulette Delmar.
Ma'am, you were here in 20MM 6994. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. Ms. Delmar, I just need to have you put your mask up for me. Thank you. There is probable cause for the offense. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police if you need to get your personal things, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. I will place you on pretrial release at this time. Do you have any questions about anything that I've ordered?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Really, the residence is solely for me and my daughter.
Okay.
He's a truck driver. He comes in once in the blue moon. If you are aware, like how truck drivers.
Sure.
Yeah, they'll
So
come
let me
in.
just explain this to you. As long as he's not there, you're allowed to be there. So I didn't say you can't go back. You just can't go back if he's there. You can't live together.
He doesn't come in. He only came in just to help me with the rest of the furniture that I had in storage,
Well, it
and
sounds
that's
like,
just it.
right. So it sounds like that wouldn't be a problem, but do you understand the order?
Yeah, I understand completely.
Okay.
I
So
do.
you should be okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Here? Here? So I'm sorry, Judge.
It's okay.
So my firearm, I would not get that anytime soon.
No, ma'am. You will not. The police took it, correct?
Excuse me?
The police took it.
They took it
Yeah.
prior to even anything
Right.
that
So
happened.
when this case is over is when you'll be able to get that back.
I'll get that back. Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Judge.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Excuse me? Yeah, on pretrial release.
Good morning, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Maria Diaz.
Miss Diaz, this is 20 6986. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You may return one time with the police to get your things if needed. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. I'm going to place you on pretrial release. Did you have any questions about anything that I ordered? Go ahead, ma'am.
What you mean pre-trial release?
What is pretrial release? It is a program that will supervise you in the community. You'll call in to report. They're going to check on you until you go to court. So you won't have to pay any money to get out of the jail today, but you're going to have to call in so they know that you're following the rules.
Okay. I have another question.
Sure.
The residence, that's my house.
So let me explain this to you. Okay. As long as the victim is not there, you can go back, but I can't make them leave. So my order is that you have to maintain a separate residence. You can't live together. So as long as that person's not there, you can be there.
Oh, he's the only one? Okay, thank you.
I have 2 little boys that I have to raise.
I understand. I don't know your family circumstances.
No, I know.
Like I said, I can't make them leave. So if the person's not there, then you can go back to the house.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for too many questions.
Your Honor, may I approach the...
Sure.
To the court?
Good morning. Your name?
Zachary Owenby.
Mr. Owenby, this is 20 6997. You were arrested for battery domestic violence.
That's correct.
There is probable cause. I'm looking at your affidavit seeking the appointment of the public defender. It indicates that you have no dependents and you make $7,500 per month. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir. So based on your affidavit, you're not going to qualify for the public defender.
Okay.
You're going to want to contact a lawyer as soon as possible after you're released from the jail, and you will be given an arraignment date. When you show up at that date, if you've hired a lawyer by then, they'll know what to do. If not, let the judge know at arraignment what you did to try to hire a lawyer, and then they will be able to readdress the issue with you if you weren't able to.
Okay.
Okay? Ma'am, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me your name.
Erin Owenby.
Miss Owenby, did you want to have contact with with your husband?
Yes.
Okay. Are you afraid of him?
No.
Do you have any concerns about your safety if I were to allow contact between the two of you?
No.
Do you guys have children?
No.
And you were here on vacation?
Yes. I just want to take him home.
Are you guys live in Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long have you been married?
Since 2019, March.
Okay. And during the course of your relationship, have there been instances of violence between the two of you in the past?
No.
Okay. Did the state have any questions for Miss Owenby?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Felter?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Owenby, you are not to have any hostile contact with your wife. Do you understand what that means, sir?
Well, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. What did you say?
You are not to have any hostile contact. Do you understand what that means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You also can't possess any weapons or firearms?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Owenby, I'm going to place you on pretrial release. You are allowed to return to the state of Georgia.
Okay.
They're going to give you some instructions. You're going to have to call in every other week until your case is over.
Okay.
I don't know if the state of Florida will decide to file formal charges against you, but that's why it's also going to be really important for you to figure out the lawyer situation, because you won't have anyone here monitoring your case. If you fail to appear for court, if the state of Florida files charges against you, you have to come back.
Okay.
If you don't come back, there'll be a warrant issued for your arrest.
Okay.
And it's nationwide.
Sure.
So they'll come get you.
Does the lawyer need to be?
You're on top of it.
I'm sorry. Does the lawyer need to be? When I get one, does it need to be Florida or Georgia?
It does.
Florida. Okay.
Florida.
Okay.
They have to have a license in Florida.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you can call the Orange County Bar Association, and
Okay.
they probably can send you the names of some lawyers that you could contact. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
If they choose to file charges, I'll be notified mail or something, or?
Right, so you're gonna wanna make sure that the folks with pretrial release have your correct mailing address. That way you're getting all of your mail. You can also always go on the Orange County Clerk of Court website and monitor your case. You're gonna get paperwork when you're released. It'll have your case number and all that, but you do have the benefit of pretrial release, so they're gonna make sure that you know when your court date is.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions, ma'am? He's gonna be released later today.
I'm sorry.
He'll be released later today.
Okay, I do have one question. Does all of this still have to, does he have to have an attorney if I don't want to press charges, or?
Well, the decision to hire lawyers is up to you all, okay? And the state attorney is going to contact you regarding your input on the case, and you'll be able to talk to them about that, about
Okay.
your wishes
Thank
about
you,
the
ma'am.
case, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ma'am, good morning. Your name?
Rosa Soto Pagan.
Ms. Soto Pagan, this is 20MM6996. You were arrested for battery, domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Ma'am, you're not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. Ma'am, I have to have you move your mask up for me. Thank you. If you need to go back to the house one time with the police to get your
That's my
things.
house. It's
Just
my
a second.
lease.
Let me just calm down, okay? If you need to go back one time with the police to get your things, you can. I am going to place you on pretrial release. Now, Ms. Soto Pagan, I understand that you're saying it's your house. I didn't say that you can't live there. You just can't live there if this person is there.
No, on the report, because I actually, did you even read the report?
Of course I read the report, but listen to me, Miss. I understand you're
I
very
don't
upset.
understand why I'm even here.
Why don't you talk to Ms. Felter for a moment? So, ma'am, if he is not there, then you can be at the house. But if he's there, you cannot be, okay? I'm not commenting on whether this is true or not true. I'm just telling you why you are here and setting your conditions of release. Do you have any questions about anything that I ordered?
What else did you order besides the contact?
So no contact, which means you can't have contact with him through a third party, through email, through Snapchat, through Facebook, any contact at all. You have to maintain a separate residence. You cannot live together, and you cannot possess any weapons or firearms. Okay? And then I've placed you on pretrial release, and someone will come talk with you about that, and you'll be released later today. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name? Mr. Tillman, you are here in 20MM 829. You were arrested for battery domestic violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are to maintain a separate residence. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms. If you need a one-time return with the police to get your things, you may do so. Sir, you're also not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription. And your bond is $1,000, sir. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name? Mr. McCall, sir, you are here in case number 20CT 5940. You were arrested for driving with a suspended license. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Did the state want to make an offer on Mr. McCall's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
The state's offer is an adjudication, credit time served, and court costs.
All right. Mr. McCall, did you want to accept that offer?
So I didn't hear it all.
The offer is an adjudication of guilt and credit time served. I'm looking at his driver's license, or his driving record, Ms. Felter, and it looks like this would be his first conviction for driving while license suspended.
Your Honor, he's right. He's going to be pleading no contest.
Okay. Mr. McCall, did you read the plea form, sir, before court?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights that you'll be giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen that this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
All right, so I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to
He has 1 day in.
1 day in jail with credit for 1 day time served. Mr. McCall, you understand that this is an enhanceable offense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you get another one, the second one, it's a mandatory 10 days in jail. If you get 3, you will be habitualized and you will lose your license for 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McCall, you're also going to have to pay court costs, which are due by September 25th of 2021. If you fail to pay your court costs on this case, your license will be suspended again for failing to pay the court costs. So you're going to want to make sure you get those paid, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Portia Wright.
Miss Wright, you were here in 20 CT 821. You were arrested for driving while license suspended. There is probable cause. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You also have a case out of Levy County, which is for failing to appear on a driving while license suspended case, and the bond is set at $2,000. Miss Wright, where do you live?
I stay in Pine Hills.
Okay, you live in the Orlando area? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you don't stay in Levy County?
No, but my son stays there.
Will
so
you put your mask up for me? Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry.
That's okay.
My son stays there, so I'm always back and forth.
I see. Okay. So, Ms. Wright, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you on both of these cases. I'm going to reach out to Levy County to see if they want to modify your bond or they're willing to let you enter a plea here. And that way you can talk to a lawyer about the consequences of those pleas, because you have 2 driving while license suspended tickets, so those do have some consequences that you're going to want to talk with someone about. So at this time, your bond on the new case is going to be $100, and then the bond on your Levy County case is $2,000. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Good morning, Christopher Lawrence Betts.
Mr. Betts, you were here in 20 MM 6995. You were arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond, sir, is going to be $500. You're not to return to the Walmart. I'm revoking the bonds in 20 CF 4255 and in 20 CF 4253. Those bonds will be set at none, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I revoked the bonds on your out on bond cases. You'll have to have your lawyer file a bond motion?
So, am I able to bond out?
No,
I'm not able to bond out?
not today. You have to have your lawyer file a motion.
out of county.
take Mr. Stokes?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, got it.
First out of county.
Good morning, Mr. Stokes.
Morning.
All right, you've got 3 cases, Mr. Stokes. You are here out of Lee County, Florida. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you on these Lee County cases. They're not transporting inmates between the jails right now, so you're going to need them to help you to coordinate with Lee County on these cases. Do you understand? All right. You have 20 CF 542, which is an out-of-county warrant for battery on a detention or commitment officer. The bond is set at none. 20 CF 543, this is an out-of-county warrant again from Lee County, preventing or obstructing the use of a fire extinguisher in criminal mischief of $1,000 or more. And another case of battery on a detention officer. Mr. Stokes, you been in touch with your family?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the public defender's office is gonna come see you soon, okay? Thank you, sir. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Bracey, Byron Bracey.
Mr. Bracey, you were here in 20 MM 6991. You were arrested for assault on a law enforcement officer, resisting officer without violence, and open container. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond on count 1 is 500. Your bond on count 2 is 100. Your bond on count 3 is 100. And then I'm revoking the bonds on both the out on bond cases. Those are going to be set at none. Thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Arthur Terrell Gray.
Mr. Gray, you were here in 20 MM 6969. You were arrested for petty theft. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to return to Walmart, Mr. Gray. Gonna set your bond at $500, and I'm not gonna take any action on the out on bond cases, sir.
Your Honor, the state does have an offer.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the state has found 1 prior petty theft conviction.
Okay.
So this would be his second, and the state's offer would be an adjudication, credit time served, no return, and court cost.
Okay. Mr. Gray, did you want to accept that offer?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Gray, I think your lawyer might have been explaining to you that this, Mr. Gray, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that this is an enhanceable offense, so this will be your second conviction. If you get arrested for petty theft again, the state can file it as a felony. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you have a chance to read the plea form this morning before court?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights that you're giving up?
No, I don't.
Are you on probation?
Yes.
You are?
No, I'm not on probation.
Okay. Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, I'm not.
And do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Gray, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days' time served. Mr. Gray, you can't return to the Walmart, and you're going to have to pay court costs, which will be due by September 25th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
For one, hey, I own everything as much as Smurf spray. For one, you can touch me all you
All right,
want. but you
Mr.
don't see
Henderson, if
someone
you
just
can't
say
behave
something.
yourself, you're going to be
Right.
removed from the courtroom. Or do you want to stay and listen or not?
No, sorry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Henderson. I'm going to waive your appearance based upon your behavior. Thank you. This is 20MM6990. I'm finding a waiver of Mr. Henderson's appearance based upon his behavior and inability to stay in court. He was arrested for trespass on property after warning. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. He's not to return to the scene. Bond is $500, and then I'm revoking the bonds in all of his out on bond cases. Those will be set at none. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Your Honor.
Mr. Heiss, did I see you yesterday?
That you did, Your Honor.
I thought I did. Okay. How are you today?
I feel kind of rough.
I bet you do.
Yes, ma'am.
You're here in 20MM 6989. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning. There is probable cause. Is there an offer for Mr. Heiss?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's offer is an adjudication, credit time served, and court costs.
All right. Mr. Heiss, you can't go back to the Wawa. Do you understand?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. You got a plan for when you get out of here?
No, I don't, unless you want to get me a Greyhound bus ticket back home to Tennessee, ma'am.
I don't have the ability to do that. If I could, I probably would, but I don't. Do you have any family you can call or friends?
No, ma'am, they all passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that. What about a different plan to not be back here tomorrow? Right?
I'm just going to stay away from the Wawa.
Okay, that I can live with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long you been down here, Mr. Heiss?
I've been in Florida now, I guess, I think, ma'am, I had a craniotomy and it affected my memory quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's been since around 2015. I lived 2 years in Tampa.
All right. Where are you staying?
I'm homeless, ma'am.
You live in like the downtown? You stay in the downtown area?
I just back and forth around from here to Popka.
Okay. So you've been in West Orange County?
Yes, ma'am. I've not been able to get a church to help me to get a ticket back.
You been over to Matthew's Hope yet?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
Let me give you their phone number. Pastor Scott is there. I apologize for my handwriting in advance. Would you hand this to Mr. Heiss, please? Arlene's laughing because she knows she has to read my handwriting every day. But this place is called Matthew's Hope. It's in Winter Garden, and I think they might be able to help you. At least it's a shot, right?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right.
Thank you so much, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Heiss, do you want to accept the state's offer today?
I do, Your Honor. Yes, I do, ma'am.
All right. Did you read the plea form? I know you read it yesterday, but did you take a look at it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions about the constitutional rights you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
And you're not on probation?
No, ma'am.
You understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation.
I do, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Heiss, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days' time served. You'll have to pay court costs due by September 25th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Yes,
I hope that works out for you, Mr. Heiss.
That means time served, I go home today?
That's right, sir.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor, and God bless you, ma'am.
You're welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name?
Morel Moore.
Mr. Moore, you are here in case number 20MM6963. You were arrested for trespass in a conveyance and for loitering or prowling. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Was there an offer for Mr. Moore?
Your Honor, the state's offer is an adjudication, credit time served, no return, and court costs.
Mr. Moore, did you want to accept that offer, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you read the plea form before court?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions about any of the rights you're giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
I'll accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail. You have credit for 2 days time served. You're not to return to the scene. You'll have to pay court costs due by September 25th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, sir. You have a question?
May I have time? I can't pay that by 21st, can I?
So you have a whole year from today's date to pay it.
Oh.
If you can't pay it, you need to go down to the clerk's office or get online and see what your options are on the Orange County Clerk of Court website.
So I have a year to pay
A whole
that?
year from today.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Sir, good morning. Your name?
Robert Spencer, ma'am.
Mr. Spencer, you are here in 20MM6988. You were arrested for trespass on property after warning and resisting officer without violence. There's probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Is there an offer for Mr. Spencer?
Your Honor, the state's offer is an adjudication, 5 days in the Orange County Jail, no return and court costs.
All right, so Mr. Spencer, the offer is 5 days. You've got 2 days credit. Did you want to accept the offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you read the plea form before court?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights you'll be giving up?
No, ma'am.
Are you on probation?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 5 days in jail with credit for 2 days time served. You'll have to pay court costs. You're also not to return to the 7-Eleven. Mr. Spencer, they have trespassed you from that 7-Eleven, so every time you go, they're going to have you arrested. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You'll have to pay your court costs due by September 26th of 2021, and you have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Tell me your name.
Austin Cacho.
What is it?
Austin Cacho.
Maybe I'm not hearing the name correctly. I don't have that case. I have the next person I was looking for was Mr. Ellick.
Oh, yeah, we had, he bonded, but we had Cacho was on the first.
Okay, Mr. Ellick bonded. I don't have Mr. Cacho's paperwork. Can I get a case number?
20 MM 5865.
Okay.
Which case is this? Step right up and step right out here real quick.
Sure.
Prosecutor? Good morning. They called Shannon Aikens. I was told that he had been moved to 11 o'clock. Otherwise, we would hear about it.
He's on first appearance. He's got a no bond for the burglary.
Okay, we haven't done felonies yet.
Oh, good. Thank you. Will you have a chance to speak with you about it?
Yes.
This isn't a burglary. This is. You have to look at it. How do I get a copy? I have already entered my appearance, but I've also filed a motion for Bob. See, now I can give you a copy. Should I give you a copy? Because I know it's up on the screen because I saw it.
All right, Mr. Cacho, this is 20 MM 5865. Your pretrial release was revoked. The bond is now set at $500. Your case was set for pretrial conference on November 10th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Gibson. So you're going to want to contact your public defender when you're released to make sure you know how to appear for that hearing.
Yes.
Yes.
I have an offer that's written in case management, the state could convey
Okay.
for the underlying case.
Sure.
The offer is an adjudication, 10 days in the Orange County Jail and court cost.
All right. How many days does Mr. Cacho have?
On which case? On both cases or?
I only have one case for him. 20 MM 5865?
Yeah, he's also in here on 2020 MM 6706 AO for resisting officer without violence.
We call it 707s in Daytona. Yes. But I'm
This is the only one that's missing in here. If you want to jot this down, this belongs to PTR. It's just, basically, it's just saying that he's not qualified for PTR.
Because they should the offense.
And then,
Well, that's not a hold for him, so I don't, is that
No,
information?
he came in on that case on the 15th, and on this case that we're seeing for him today, it was an out on bond,
That's his
but they
notes.
revoked it and
Right,
put it back.
and then reset it. So, Ms. Honeymer, I'm trying to look as well. Do you know if an information's been filed on the MM 6706? No, there hasn't been. Okay. So we can't do anything with that case today. Mr. Cacho, on your trespass in a dwelling, the offer from the state is an adjudication of guilt, 10 days in jail. How many days on the trespass case does he have, the 5865?
He has 18 days.
18? Okay, so it would effectively be credit time served. Did you want to accept that offer?
Yes, Mom.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to read the plea form?
I've not.
Okay, there's one there on the podium if you want to take a look at that. Read it, let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, I'll tell her. Because I was a victim of something going off.
Do you need this back? I need it, okay.
So there's no 707? We surrendered last night. Will she have a problem with the suit?
The state.
I agree.
No problem. We don't want to give you one, so you can argue.
Or Mr. Stone, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Stone.
I've got a first offender. Frankly, if my evidence is true, he's innocent, this could be, but that's no story. Does she allow witnesses to testify? Well, it is. It is his wife. If she's not the victim, it's allegedly the guy that attacked him. I have to get her in.
You still want me to?
Is this yours? If you would, yes, I'll take it. Is this yours? Atkins? No, I thought this was yours. This is yours. I thought he put this here.
Oh, no, that's all mine. There's your email.
David Moore Wall. Yeah, I'll take whatever you can send me.
Yeah, because you didn't know it's half the warrant, right?
Hmm?
Or you checked.
Well, we surrendered.
Right.
So,
Sure. Let me see.
Good morning.
Morning, Your Honor.
Tell me your name.
David Demore, Your Honor. I'm from Volusia County.
From which county?
Volusia.
Oh, welcome, welcome.
A little muffled in these things here.
Sure, no problem.
Judge, can I give you a bit of information? Just, I was told by the public defender you might want to know this.
Sure.
I thought you were scheduled at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And I made the effort of being up at 5:30 because I wasn't going to be late.
Okay.
And Make a long story short, at 6 a.m., I thought, just as I was getting in the car, let me double check. Called the jail, spoke with the lady. I said, is it 9 or is it 11? She said, let me check. She said, it's 11 a.m. So
Okay.
just so you know, you may have some attorneys, if they are trying to get here, that think it's at 11 o'clock, not at 9.
And Judge
What kind of
Wish,
case do you have?
I have felony.
Okay, so we've been working on this all week. This is a product of the pandemic.
Yes, ma'am.
Normally here in Orange County, we have 2 courtrooms that we run for initial appearances. Since March, we've been down to 1, and given the constraints that everyone's working under, we've had to modify the way that we do the docket.
Understood.
And so at the very beginning, we had to be downtown and remote into here, and it did start at 11. That has changed. And then we have a way that the cases are lined up that do start at 9. But the website for the jail still had different information. So this week we've been working on getting everyone on the same page. But I have no problem hearing your case this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just going to say, the message seems to be is lost in the personnel, but after my heart stopped pounding that I had in the first appearance, I'm fine.
Okay,
Whenever we
good.
get called. Judge, I do have a potential witness.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
had a chance to speak with the prosecutor yet. May I excuse myself from the courtroom and go get my witness to have her outside in case you call my client's case shortly or after, whenever?
Sure, so I won't be. I'll have to, that's not a problem. You have to go speak. We're gonna have to pull the paperwork because your cases are actually set for the afternoon.
Oh,
The felon, yeah, so that's the way that they go. So here in Orange County, all the felonies are usually at 1 o'clock unless for whatever reason we move them, but they're last. We do the felonies last.
well, Judge, appreciate very much the accommodation.
Oh, sure.
I'm always complaining when I get Orange County attorneys coming over to Volusia. I want them to stay and do the business here. So if this is the way it's going to be, and I'm going to be this confused every time I come over, I think I'm going to, after 47 years of practice, I'm going to keep where I belong.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I've been
Judge.
doing a lot of work with Volusia County through the pandemic because I have been doing all the out-of-county cases. So I've been working very closely with Judge Perkins.
Oh, yes, of course.
Which has been great. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I have been stepping into Volusia County just in that
Judge
capacity.
Perkins is actually up in Flagler. He's just our circuit is.
Right. Okay. So I think in Flagler, I've been dealing with.
Judge Perkins.
No, you guys have separated them out. So in Flagler, I've been dealing
Judge
with
Clayton is in DeLand. I think he's your
No.
cohort for that one.
Chubola, Meredith.
That
I
doesn't
think-
ring a bell.
Okay, or maybe she's Duval.
Yeah, not in my.
But I know for Volusia, the contact person on the Supreme Court list is Judge Perkins.
Yes, agreed.
Yes. Very nice man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But
ma'am.
yeah, you're welcome to go down and do what you need to do, and then we will, I've got quite a few cases left here for the morning session, and then I'll have my assistant bring your
I'm at disposal,
paperwork.
Your Honor. Don't rush for me, but thank you so much for the consideration of taking me in.
Sure, you're welcome.
Oh, I love it.
Right, we'll do him at the end. Oh.
Okay.
Mr. Dumont, who's your client?
That's perfect. I'm going to go grab my witness.
Okay, who's your client? Sorry, what's his name?
Chad Atkins,
Atkins, Your Honor.
Atkins? Okay, thank you. They'll have to pull him, okay. Mr. Cacho, did you read the plea form, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights that you'll be giving up?
No, I do not.
Are you on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yeah.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 18 days in jail. You have credit for 18 days time served. You are not to return to the scene. You will have to pay court costs, which will be due by September 25th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Stone, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Stone, you are here in case number 20MM1988. You failed to appear for court related to the offense of petty theft. Was there an offer for Mr. Stone?
Oh, sorry, Your Honor. 1 second. I was looking at the wrong.
That's okay.
Your Honor, the offer that has been previously conveyed was an adjudication, 45 days in the Orange County Jail and court costs.
All right, how many days does Mr. Stone have?
He has 11 days in, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Stone, did you want to accept that offer, or you also have a $1,000 bond?
What was it? What was the
The offer was an adjudication of guilt and 45 days in jail. You have credit for 11.
How many more days I have?
I don't know. Or at least 34.
30.
Or I guess the most would be 34. Thank you, Joe.
Reason why I missed court because I was in the other courtroom. My public defender was supposed to be here, but I don't know where she went. Yeah, I was in court for the other. I don't know what happened. I was supposed to be in court the same day, the same time, same place. That's what happened with the other. That's why I don't understand why I offer with 45 days.
So, Mr. Stone, I see here that you have, how are you getting in touch with your lawyer and finding out about your court dates?
Robert Turner. I was staying with Robert Turner.
Where are you getting your mail?
201 Simpson Road, Kissimmee. That's why I don't understand why they offered me 45 days. I was supposed to be in the same court, like
Yeah.
right now, I was supposed to be in the same court. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well, listen, I'm going to make note here of your address, 201 Simpson Road in Kissimmee, Florida. I know Ms. Felter is making note of that too, or making sure that that's
Yes,
your
Your
correct
Honor.
address.
But is there any way I can, is there any,
I'm
no,
going to release you, Mr. Stone, on your own recognizance. You
Thank
have to
you.
appear at your next court date, and you're going to contact your lawyer
Yes,
by
ma'am.
Monday at 5 p.m., okay?
Thank you. I go home today, right?
I don't know if you have any other holds.
No, I go home.
All right, you'll be released.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
As soon as you get out, you need to call.
Thank you.
I know that you see your attorney, but you have to call us.
I will.
Okay? It won't be like this next time.
Oh, he did need one? Oh, shoot. Can we bring back Mr. Stone quickly? I'm sorry. That was Judge
Come
Allen.
back, just go back.
And that's going to be on his paperwork. So, Mr. Stone, I forgot, I need to give you a court date. So your next court date, and I'm telling you right now, and this is going to be on your paperwork, okay?
Okay.
It's going to be November 2nd at 9 a.m., courtroom 4A. But make
Thank-
sure you call your lawyer because they're going to tell you how you're supposed to appear, whether you're supposed to go to court or virtual.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
How are you?
Good, sir. Good morning. Tell me your name.
Justin Goodman.
Mr. Goodman, you're here in 20 CO 776. You were arrested for soliciting without a permit.
I was.
There is probable cause. Ms. Honeymeyer, is there an offer?
I was just trying to get some change for some jeans.
Okay, Mr. Goodman.
Your Honor, the state's offers an adjudication, credit time served, and court costs.
Mr. Goodman, did you want to accept that offer? Credit time served.
Yes, time served.
Did you read the plea form before court this morning?
No, I didn't.
Okay, the plea form's right there in front of you.
Okay.
Yep, take a look at that, read it. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that you read.
No, pretty much time served is time served, right?
Right, but I'm asking you to read the plea form because those are the rights that you're giving up. So do you have any questions?
Oh, I understand what, Your Honor. I do not have any questions.
Okay. Are you on probation?
No, I'm not.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, this plea will result in your deportation?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, ma'am.
I'm going to accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days time served. You'll have to pay court costs, which will be due by September 25th of 2021. You have 30 days to appeal the judgment and sentence of the court in writing, and I'm not going to revoke your case, your bond on your other cases. Thank you, sir. Good morning, your name?
Angel Caban.
Mr. Kaban, this is 04CF 10679. It is alleged that you have violated your probation by failing to pay the state of Florida your cost of supervision. It's also alleged that you moved without getting permission, that you didn't keep your weekly appointments, that you didn't abide by your curfew, and that you didn't comply with collections court or do your community service hours. Your bond, sir, is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. You're gonna see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sir, good morning. Your name?
Michael Williams.
Mr. Williams, you were here in 20 CF 11026. You were arrested for possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver and possession of cannabis greater than 20 grams. There's probable cause, sir. I will appoint the public defender to represent you on all of your cases this morning. Bond on count 1 is 1,000. Bond on count 2 is 150. What? Michael Williams? Michael Gabriel Williams? Okay.
Your Honor, I have a violation of probation.
Yeah, I got a.
Yes, I do too.
I do too, but I also have another affidavit.
Oh.
I do not.
He only has one charge, Your Honor.
Oh, this is weird. It's got an arrest, this has an arrest date of 9/11. I'll show it to you.
That's weird.
I was just thinking it was like an add-on. Can you look? I'll look. This is an out-on-bond case, so it's 20 CF 11026, and he was arrested on 9. This says, the arrest report says 9/11, but the complaint was entered on 9/12, and he filed bond on the same day, so he was never at I-8 on this case, but it is an out-on-bond case.
Your Honor, can you give me that case number one more time?
Sure.
Thank you.
20 CF 11026.
Thank
So
you.
on that case, Mr. Williams, I'm not going to revoke the bond in those cases because that case provides the basis for the violations of probation. In 18 CF 7064, it says that you violated the law by committing that offense on 9/11. Your bond on the VOP is set at none. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you on that case, sir, and you're going to see Judge Whitehead in the next 7 to 10 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, sir. Tell me your name.
On.
Mark Anton?
That's
Mr.
correct.
Anton, you are here for an out-of-county case out of Osceola County. It's related to petty theft. Your bond, sir, is $2,000. I'll appoint the public defender here in Orange County to represent you. Do you think you're going to be able to post that bond?
Probably not, Your Honor. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm appointing the public defender here to help you with the case because they're not transporting the inmates. We'll also reach out to Osceola County to see if they want to modify that bond or they authorize a plea if you're interested in that. But your lawyer will talk to you about that, and we will bring you back to court once we hear from Osceola County.
Thank you for your
You're
time,
welcome.
Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name?
Denville Stephen Cook.
Mr. Cook, you are here for an out-of-county case out of St. Johns County. In this matter, you failed to appear for the offense of petty theft. Your bond is $500. You have a case for Alachua County related to burglary of an occupied structure. Your bond is $15,000. Another case out of Alachua County, you failed to appear for court related to a petty theft. You have no bond in that matter.
I was incarcerated here for the failure to appear on every case.
Okay, so let me finish through this and then I'll address that
ma'am.
with you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you have another case out of Alachua County related to failing to appear for petty theft. Bond is set at none. And then one final case out of Alachua County where the bond is set at none related to a petty theft. Oh, nope, there's one more. And that again is an Alachua County case related to a petty theft and failing to appear. So Mr. Cook, on all of these out-of-county cases right now, as you may know, they're not transporting inmates between the jails. So what we do is we reach out to the counties where the case originated from, let them know you're here appoint the public defender here in Orange County to coordinate with those other counties. We'll see if the judges want to make any modifications, but they will be aware. I'll let them know that you were incarcerated here when you failed to appear. I don't know what they'll do with that information, but I will give that to them. Once we receive a response from the respective counties, you'll be brought back to court to let you know what their responses were.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Vincent Lawrence.
Mr. Lawrence, you are here for an out-of-county case out of Seminole County. It's for driving while license suspended.
Yes, ma'am.
You failed to appear for court. Your bond, sir, is $500.
Yes, ma'am.
You gonna be able to post that?
Huh?
You gonna be able to post the bond?
Yes, and I do have my driver's license.
Oh, good, okay. So once you post your bond, make sure you follow up with your public defender if you have one in Seminole County, so you know when you need to go back to court.
So I do have to go back to court on
You
this case?
definitely do, because that case is not closed. You failed to appear. So
Okay.
you're gonna post the bond, and then you gotta go back to court.
So this is just, all right, thanks.
This happened because you didn't go to court.
All right, thanks.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, your name?
Matthew Meisner.
Mr. Meisner, you're here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County, or I'm sorry, Osceola County. It's for burglary to an unoccupied conveyance and grand theft of a motor vehicle. Bond on count 1 is $3,500. Bond on count 2 is $100, sir. Okay, the Orange County Public Defender will be appointed to represent you in this case, and they'll be able to coordinate with Osceola County.
I have a question.
Sure.
Will I qualify for pretrial release?
You didn't hear, so here's the tricky part on your case, is you're an Osceola County case, so our pretrial release would not screen you because they wouldn't supervise you. But, I'm happy to reach out, we reach out on all of the out-of-county cases to see if they want to modify, if the judge in Osceola County wants to modify it, and they'll let me know if you qualify for pretrial release.
So they're going to transport me to Osceola County
They're
Jail?
not. That's why I've appointed the public defender here in Orange County to help you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I meant 1,000. Okay. I meant to say it. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Your name?
Kathleen Pendleton.
Ms. Pendleton, you were here in an out-of-county case from Seminole County related to not having a valid driver's license.
Right.
Your bond is set at $495, ma'am. Are you going to be able to post that bond?
I should be. I didn't call my boyfriend today, but I know that he had more than half of it last night.
Okay,
so.
good. Okay. So just make sure you follow up with Seminole County when you
Okay.
get out to make sure you know when you need to be back in court.
Okay, what do I have to do? Like, what transpires from here? I don't
So, Ms.
know.
Pendleton, first I need you to pull your mask up for me. Thanks. No,
I'm
thank you.
sorry.
That's okay. So this is a Seminole County case, so you didn't go to court.
Right.
So they issued a capias for your arrest or a warrant. When you get out, that case is still pending, so you need to follow up with them and see when you need to go back to court.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
How about, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Tell me your name.
It's Carol Dale Rosenbloom.
Mr. Rosenbloom, you are here for an out-of-county warrant out
Yes.
of
A bench warrant.
Seminole County. It's
Yeah, I
for
was
failing
supposed to
to
be there
appear.
this morning in Seminole County at 9 o'clock with Schoenberg as my PD. I was supposed to be there at 9 o'clock this morning. For this bench warrant, you have me in here. Yes. It's already been lifted.
I don't understand what you're telling me.
I had last Monday, I had a court hearing.
Okay.
All right, it was supposed to be set for Tuesday, but there was a mix-up. They said, okay, he had a bench warrant for me. He says, let me send an email. We had it lifted. Today, I had court hearing in Seminole for this warrant that you have me in here for.
Right, but the issue is that the capias was executed before you could have the hearing. So the only person who can do that, and they may be entering an order, I don't know, but I will email Seminole County to let them know you're here. I understand what you're telling me, but like I said, it's the fact that you were arrested on the capias before you got to the hearing. So it's been executed and they'll have to modify that. I'm not gonna take any action on the, case that you have it set for sentencing on November 16th here in Orange County. But like I said, I'll email Seminole County to let them know that you're here.
Yeah, Schoenberg was my PD, and
Mike?
Yeah, I was supposed
Okay.
to be there at 9 o'clock this morning. Yeah.
Okay.
For what you have me here. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Rosenbloom, I'll take care of
All
that
right,
today.
Please, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I take this? Can I take this? Yes. Yeah, okay. Good morning, sir. Your name?
Christopher Vasquez.
Mr. Vasquez, you're here for an out-of-county warrant out of Hillsborough County for contempt of court. Your bond, sir, is $1,500. I'll appoint the public defender here in Orange County to assist you with your case and coordinating with Hillsborough County in the event that you're unable to post the bond.
Okay.
We'll reach out to Hillsborough County to see if they'd like to make any modifications
Okay.
to that. If they do, I'll bring you back to court and let you know what they said.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
The last time Vasquez bond is Your Honor.
Okay, great. And then, oh, I just have Mr. Aikens. Miss Hunt, will you call that phone number for me? I don't. Miss Honeymeyer, are you ready on the 33-day motions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. It is y'all. Is he on the phone? That's right.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Moses' case? No, Mr. Moses' case. Yeah, did you pull it? Oh. Thank you. Okay.
I'm sorry, one minute.
That's all right. All right, Mr. Drummond, you want to go first?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You want to just pull your mic?
Sure, that's fine. All right, this is case number 20 CF 10839. Good morning, sir. Please tell me your name.
Chad Aikens.
All right, Mr. Aikens. And then, Mr. Drummond, would you like to place your appearance on the record, please?
David Demore, appearing on behalf of Mr. Aikens.
Thank you, Mr. Demore. Mr. Aikens, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for felony battery with great bodily harm and burglary of a dwelling with an assault or battery. Mr. Demore, or I'm sorry, have you had a chance to talk to the state?
I have, Your Honor.
Okay.
We haven't been able to agree to the amount of bond.
Okay. With respect to count 2?
With respect to count 2, Judge, I'll be asking for that to be reduced too, but obviously count 1 is the primary issue. Depending upon the amount of bond on count 1, Judge, assuming it's granted, that would determine my argument on count 2.
Hold on, we might be talking about the same thing. So on my affidavit, count 1 is the felony battery, and then count 2 is the burglary of a dwelling with an assault or battery, which is the PDL?
I have it in my mind the opposite way, Judge.
Okay,
but-
which
yeah,
would make
it's-
sense.
It's the, yes.
Okay, so you have or have not agreed on a bond with the burglary of a dwelling with a battery?
The state had indicated they were seeking a $50,000 bond on that, and I felt that was not reasonable under the circumstances. I'm asking for a hearing.
Okay. Ms. Honeymeyer, then you are not going forward on proof evident or presumption grade?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you're seeking a $50,000 bond?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. And I think you said you had a witness?
I do, Judge.
Okay.
Depending upon the procedure you like to use, and I'll try to do this as briefly as possible, I know
Sure.
you've got a full day. I'd like to have my client establish his ties to the community, or if the state will accept a proffer, I can offer a proffer. It's pretty much listed in my motion for bond. Or I'll have him testify under oath as to his ties to the community. What does it?
I would prefer him to testify under oath.
And if I may, Judge, I'd ask, he's been sworn, may I have him testify?
Mr. Aikens, could you please raise your right hand to be sworn in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please introduce yourself to the judge.
Chad Aikens,
And Chad, how old are you?
27,
And where do you live, Chad?
Ponce Inlet, Florida.
And how long have you lived in Ponce Inlet, Florida?
I've lived there close to 10 years, but I've lived in the Volusia County area my whole life.
Do you have any other family members in Volusia County?
Yes, my dad, my mom, my grandfathers, all my aunts and cousins, everybody lives there in New Smyrna Beach.
All of your living relatives, with the exception of your mother and grandmother who are deceased.
Yes, that's correct, everybody.
Okay, in fact, your family is one of the oldest families to establish Volusia County, the Lutz family.
Yep, since 1910, we've owned a business in New Smyrna.
Okay, and do you have any businesses in Volusia County?
I own 2 businesses myself.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a flooring contractor and a commercial builder contractor.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime in the past?
Never.
Have you ever been arrested for a crime for which you were found guilty?
Never.
Are you married or single?
Married.
Okay, and who is your wife?
Kirby Aikens.
Okay, and how long have you known Kirby?
About 2.5 years.
And do you and she both reside together in Volusia County?
Yes, we own a property together, the house that we live in.
Okay, and is that home, the approximate value of that home, minus any, well, first of all, do you have a mortgage on a house?
Yes, I have a mortgage.
And approximately how much is that mortgage?
The mortgage was $500,000, but I owe $200 on it.
So you've been paying it down while you've owned it?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to take it, you were able to get that mortgage, you have good credit history?
Yes, that's correct.
You ever declared bankruptcy, anything of that nature?
Never.
Do you currently have access to a passport?
No, I do not.
Judge, does the court have any further questions of him regarding his ties to our community?
I do not.
I have nothing further.
Ms. Honeymeyer?
Do you own a vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. What's the approximate value of the vehicle that you own?
Probably like 40 or 50,000.
And do you own the vehicle outright, or do you still make payments on it?
I have one that I make payments on. I have one that I own outright.
Okay, and so the one that you own outright is the $45,000?
Yes, probably yes.
Okay. And then you said that you own 2 businesses?
Yeah, and then I have other vehicles that are tied to the business as well.
Okay. Approximately how much money do you make from those 2 businesses a week? Or a month, whatever is easier to calculate?
It's probably more like a yearly or so. Like, I don't really look at it by the month. I don't know. I probably gross like 200,000 a year.
Okay, between the 2?
Well, that's my gross income, yes.
Okay. The state has no further questions.
Just to clarify, when you talk about gross income, that's not what you take home. That's before expenses?
That's probably what I'm taking home, somewhere around there.
Thank you. Nothing further, Judge.
All right. And what monetary amount are you requesting?
Judge, I'm hesitant. I want to answer that question, and I'm not trying to be upset.
Sorry, it's stretched out.
The situation here, I think the court, in determining the amount of bond, should hear my witness. I have an eyewitness to these events.
Okay.
I think they are very significant.
Okay.
I'm hesitant to use the word ROR, but I would like the court to judge the credibility of my witness and tie that together with the substantial ties that I think we presented to the court here, because I think that this is a matter that, should I be able to present this witness to the prosecutor's office, this case may not go forward. And of course, you know, I'm biased, I grant you that, but I know the court is not, it will be objective. But I would like Kirby Aikens to be able to testify today Not only will she establish ties to the community if necessary, but she was an eyewitness to the events and how they happened, and it contradicts the allegations made in the probable cause affidavit that the court might be relying on without hearing her testimony.
Okay, she can come into the box.
I don't know how we get her in, Judge.
Is there a deputy? There should be a deputy right outside.
It's okay.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name for the record. Kirby Lewitt. You have to speak into the mic. Kirby Lewitt.
Miss Honeymer, you can't hear
can't
her.
hear her.
Okay.
I can barely hear her. Kirby, try speaking into the mic.
Kirby Lewitt.
Okay, Miss Lewis, I need to have you keep your mask on. I know it's kind of hard, but just come closer to the microphone. There you go.
Kirby Lewitt.
Okay, and Kirby, I'm going to ask you to speak up as much as possible. Okay?
Kirby Lewitt.
It's just the nature of what we're dealing with here. Kirby, do you know Chad Aikens?
Yes, sir. He's my husband.
How do you know Chad?
He's my husband.
Okay. How long have you and Chad known each other?
About 2 years.
Okay. Let me just ask a couple questions. I want to go back to your relationship. Is Chad a violent person?
No.
Has he ever been violent to you?
No.
Have you ever known him to be violent to any other person or seen him be aggressive in any way?
No.
All right. Now, there is an allegation that your husband entered with you into your sister's home and a fight broke out. Are you familiar with that incident?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us where you were on the day that this incident happened?
I was staying at my sister's house.
Can you talk up louder?
I was staying in my sister's house.
That's perfect.
Okay. Where had you been during the day?
Drinking around the world's Epcot.
Who were you with throughout the day?
My family, sister, and some of her friends.
That would be your mother and father,
Yes.
your sister,
Yes.
who was the owner of the house,
Yes. Her fiance.
her fiance, a man named Justin,
Yes.
and another gentleman whose name you do not know that's a friend of your sister's.
Yes, and then a couple random people that were friends of theirs.
And what was the reason for going to Epcot that day?
Just family fun.
Okay, and was there an occasion such as known as drinking around the world?
Yes.
Okay, were you and your family drinking?
Heavily.
Was this gentleman Justin Grakowski, and I may be mispronouncing that, Judge, but I'm trying to refer to the alleged victim. Was he drinking through the day?
Yes, heavily.
And would you say that, what time would you say you arrived at Epcot and he began drinking?
I arrived at 11 a.m., but my sister, her fiance, him, and his friend were there prior to me.
Could you tell that he'd been drinking already when you arrived?
Yes.
Okay, and were you present throughout the day until you left? And what time was it that you left approximately?
When the park closed.
Was that about 7 p.m.?
Around that,
Okay,
I think.
keep trying to speak. I know this is difficult, having to concentrate on making yourself heard and thinking. So if the park closed around 7 p.m., did you witness Justin Grakowski drinking throughout the day?
Yes.
Can you describe approximately how many alcoholic beverages he had?
He had one at least every country. Some countries he had multiple. So
Can
I
you
think
estimate, are we talking 5, 10, 15, 20?
there's 20 something.
Okay. And were those both hard alcohol and craft beers?
Yes,
And the craft beers, were they high alcohol content beers?
from my understanding.
Okay. And could you describe Justin's demeanor or behavior as a result of his consumption of alcohol as you all left the park to go home?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. What condition was he in? Physically?
Very intoxicated, very drunk.
Okay. Now, how did you manage to get home and who did you travel with?
I traveled, I don't know the gentleman's name. It was Brittany's friend. He was driving, my sister was in the passenger seat, and Jess and I were in the back seat.
Okay. Where was your sister's fiance?
He left earlier that day.
Okay. Had your mother and father also left earlier because your mother wasn't feeling well?
Correct.
Okay. And where did you go? Do you know the address that you went to?
I'm not sure the exact address, but it was like Monticello,
Your sister's home?
Yes.
Have you been to that home often?
Yeah, I've about 5 or 6 times.
Are you a welcome guest there?
Yes.
Did your sister invite you there that day to
Yes.
spend the day and to spend the evening?
Yes.
Okay. And have you, in fact, in the past, had your sister ask you to come live with her at that address?
Yes.
Okay. And did you go to that address with these other folks for the evening?
Yes.
Did Justin continue to drink?
Yes.
And can you tell the court how much he had to drink and what he was drinking throughout that time?
Probably about 3 or 4 craft beers, and then we had a shot as well.
Okay, so at least approximately 5 drinks?
About.
These were craft beers. Did they appear to be beers with higher alcohol content than, say, a light beer?
Yes.
Okay. Was Justin, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning not intoxicated to 10 being drunk, what scale would you tell the court he was based upon your observation of him?
Maybe a 9.
Maybe a 9, okay? Did there come a point in time when you went to bed?
Yes.
And you went to a bed in your own bedroom?
Yes.
And Justin went to bed in a separate bedroom?
Yes.
Is that correct? At some point in time, did you call your husband to ask him to come pick you up?
Yes, around 2:33ish in the morning.
Okay. And what was the reason you asked him to come pick you up?
I wanted to go home.
Okay. Were you and your husband having any difficulties between each other at that time?
No.
Was your husband hollering at you, screaming at you, angry at you?
No.
Okay. When did he come to pick you up?
Yes.
Okay. And when he came to pick you up, how did he arrive, if you know?
I'm sorry?
How did he arrive? How did he get there?
Oh, he drove his truck.
Okay. And did you exit the house, or did he come to the house to come in to get you?
I walked out of the house.
Okay. And when you walked out of the house, did you get into the truck?
Yes.
Okay. Were you doing that because you wanted to go home with your husband?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He wasn't threatening you in any way, was he?
No.
Okay. As you got into the truck and started to drive away, did you realize you had forgotten something in the house?
Yes, Chad asked me if I had everything. I looked in my pockets and purse. I realized I didn't have my debit card or ID.
Okay. Now, you had your purse, correct?
Yes.
But your debit card and ID, had you had that out of your purse throughout the day?
Yes, I typically keep them in my right pocket if I'm doing things or need to access them quickly.
Okay. Was part of it because you kept getting ID'd every time you'd ask for a drink?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you realized you didn't have it. What did you do in response to realizing that you didn't have your IDs? What did you say to your husband?
I asked Chad to turn around.
Okay, did he have any difficulty with that? Did he object to it? Was he angry about it?
No.
And about how far would you say you were from the home when you turned around?
A couple blocks from the neighborhood.
Okay. Turned around, went back, correct?
Yes, sir.
Parked the car?
Yes, sir.
Were the lights on the vehicle when you pulled up to the car? Your headlights?
When you
pulled up?
Oh, no, he shut them off.
But
Just out
they
of
were on as you
respect.
approached. Yeah, I'm trying to establish, you didn't come up there stealthily trying to
No.
hide.
Objection, Your Honor. Leading.
Understood. I'll,
Fine.
court will bear with me, I'll stop. Sure. What did you ask your husband to do when he parked the car?
To come inside to help,
And what was your reason for wanting to go back inside the house?
to get my ID and debit card.
Okay, and did you have permission to enter that house at that time? Or at any
I
time?
thought so, yes.
Okay, and did your husband go with you?
Yes.
And can you describe what you did when you first got into the house? Was the house lit up, or were the lights on, lights off?
All the lights were off, and we proceeded to walk upstairs.
Okay, so this is a two-story home?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as you walked up the stairs, did you go to the room where you had been staying?
Yes, sir.
Were the lights on at that time?
No, sir.
Did the lights get turned on?
Yes, sir.
Who turned the lights on?
Chad?
Okay, and then did you begin looking for something?
Yes, sir.
Did Chad try to help you look for it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you give us an estimate about how long you were there looking for your IDs?
A minute or two.
Okay, and during that minute or two, did something then happen with another person?
Yes, I heard my name being called.
You heard your name being called. Let me ask you this, before you heard your name being called, was this a male or a female voice?
A male.
Do you know if Chad was aware that there was another person upstairs when he came into the house?
He was not aware.
Okay. And tell me what happened when you heard your name being called. Do you know who that was calling you?
It was Justin.
Okay, and he's the alleged victim in this case. You know that to be the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us what happened then when Justin called out for you.
I asked if he knew where my ID or debit card was. He said that he had them. Chad and I went into the room. He got out of bed. I don't know if he just didn't recognize Chad, or I mean, he doesn't know who Chad is, so I don't know if he was just startled, what happened exactly.
What did Justin do?
He jumped out of bed, and then he became aggressive. He was telling me that I didn't need to leave, I didn't need to drive. I let him know that I wasn't driving, that this is my husband. He's coming, he picked me up to come take me home.
And what was Justin's reaction to you telling him this was your husband, you wanted him to take you home, you weren't driving?
He got aggressive and pushed him.
Okay, describe, if you can, physically with your own hands. Did he use one hand, two hands? How did he push him?
2 hands.
Was it a touch, or was it a harsh push?
Chad went back a little bit,
Okay.
so
And
it
when
was.
Chad was, and you're showing, if describing, he was pushed back forcefully enough to go back with 2 hands by Justin.
Yes, sir.
Up to that moment, had Chad been aggressive in any way towards Justin?
No, sir.
Have you threatened him in any way?
No, sir.
Did he curse at him?
No, sir.
Did he say anything about keep away from my wife?
No, sir.
At that point, what did Chad do in relationship to being pushed that hard?
He tried to get him to calm down just to kind of de-escalate.
And what did Justin do at that time?
He didn't like that. I don't think he understood what was going on. He said that she doesn't need to be going anywhere again, tried to get me to not leave, and he struck Chad.
How did he strike him?
He had I couldn't see very well, but
Did he strike him with his hand?
yes.
Was it a fist?
Yes, I think so, yes.
And after Justin struck him, did Chad and he begin fighting?
Yeah, from what I can see, yes. I went downstairs after Chad told me to go downstairs. I felt
Told you to leave for
unsafe.
your own protection?
Yes,
Okay. Did Chad then exit the house with you?
yes.
Okay, and as you exited the house, did you guys think about possibly calling the police?
No, we didn't think anything of it. We just
You
thought it was.
this was a drunk that had gotten out of hand?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, in regards to this warrant, when you and your husband learned of this warrant, did you contact anyone to reach the local authorities?
I mean, we contacted you to help
Okay.
us with the case. I don't.
Right, so you were out of town on vacation with your husband when you found out about the warrant?
Yes, sir. We
And
go
did you
on.
both drive back immediately to meet with me and then surrender yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and last night you brought your husband to the jail so he could surrender himself? to the
Yes,
jail?
sir.
And you spent the night here waiting for this hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Last question. You indicated that Justin was highly intoxicated throughout the day. How many hours would you say it had been between when you went to bed and the incident between your husband and Justin?
Only a couple hours.
Okay, so he hadn't been drinking while he was sleeping? we agree?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Did he appear physically capable? You said he jumped out of bed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so he was physically capable of jumping out of bed and confronting your husband?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Honeymeyer?
Yes, Your Honor. So, ma'am, you said that you were having an outing with your family that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but your husband wasn't with you?
No.
Okay. And so you were at Epcot drinking around the world as well?
Yes, ma'am.
How many drinks did you have?
I can't keep up with everyone, so I probably had about 13 or so, 12 or 13.
Were you drinking when you returned to the house?
I had a couple, yes. I've had probably 2.
Okay. So you had approximately 15 drinks that day?
Around that, yes.
And at your sister's house, you weren't living there at the time, were you?
Not at the time.
You were just a guest?
Yes.
Okay. And isn't it true that your husband was upset with you that day?
I mean, we weren't able to talk very much, so he was a little annoyed, but I feel the same way when I can't in touch with my husband.
And isn't it true that you FaceTime with him at some point?
I didn't FaceTime him, no.
Isn't it true that someone FaceTime with him, or is it your statement today that he was never on FaceTime?
Brittany FaceTime with my sister.
Your sister FaceTime with him?
Yes.
Isn't it true that he was upset with your sister?
I didn't hear it very much. She started saying that there's no men around, and after that I kind of stepped away because she started lying to him, so I didn't feel comfortable.
So your sister told your husband that there was no men around?
Correct.
Would it upset your husband if you're drinking with other men?
I can't answer that.
How far away is your house from your sister's house?
About an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45, give or take.
It's a long drive that
Yes.
your husband had to come get you at 2:30 in the morning?
I got a hold of him 2:33.
Okay. And so your testimony today was that you didn't see the state of the victim after the fight?
Correct.
The state has no further questions.
Anything else from the defense?
Your Honor, does the court have any questions of this witness?
I do not. So I'll start with the conditions. Mr. Aikens, you are not to have any contact with the alleged victim in any manner. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms, sir. Do you understand those conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
struggling with the amount of the bond just because I understand Mr. Aikens does have significant ties to the community, but this is also a very serious offense.
May I be heard just very briefly, Your Honor? Because if you're struggling with it, I probably shouldn't talk. But I would suggest this to the court. A high bond does not secure my client's presence any further than what I would recommend to the court, a low bond. Because of his significant ties to the community, because this is a he said case with one witness that was there to see who the actual aggressor was. This warrant was issued, Judge, from one side. My client was never contacted, never given an opportunity to present what happened. This witness has never been interviewed.
Right.
And I would ask the court to consider that under the Florida Constitution, every person, as I know the court knows, and I don't mean to take up too much time, Article 1, Section 14 talks about a right to non-monetary bonds and that every person has a right to a reasonable bond. I grant you my client has significant ability to post a bond, but he also, Judge, should not be penalized and have to pay a bondsman an excessive amount of money just to post a bond because it doesn't do anything to protect the victim, society, or secure his presence. So when we look at Chapter 903, when we look at Florida Rules of Procedure, it asks the court to go through that litany of what is the least restrictive bond the court can post. And that's supposed to be a non-monetary bond. And then, what other conditions there are. I would suggest to the court here that with this testimony that you've heard, and I'm not going to presume to determine what the court thinks of the credibility of the witness, but I believe this witness to be credible, to have testified honestly, and that ultimately no charges will be brought against my client, none that can be sustained. And I would submit to the court that he is presumed innocent, he is entitled to the least restrictive bond, which should be non-monetary in nature. If the court is thinking of setting a bond, I would ask that it be no more than a total of, say, $8,500, $500 on the burglary, and $3,500. And I would also just throw one more thing in. I'm going to ask you to put on your legal scholar cap. My client and the testimony that you have before you have nothing to refute this. My client was invited in by his wife, who has access to that home freely. He was not ever asked by anyone to leave. Even if you believe he committed a battery in that house, you do not have probable cause to establish that a burglary occurred. It does not meet the statutory definition. There's no evidence that he stealthily entered. There's no evidence that he broke into the house. And there's no evidence that at the point in time when he entered, he had an intent to commit a crime. For there to be a burglary after someone enters in the house being invited in by a person who has a right to be there, because she was an invitee and a family member of the sister that came freely and clearly in, back and forth, you don't have a burglary because the homeowner and no one else asked him to leave. They're not a part of this. You're not going to find it in the probable cause affidavit because it doesn't exist because it never happened. So at some point in time, I'm not here to argue with the judge who issued the warrant. Maybe I'm being a little too esoteric here in my analysis because obviously I've had much more time to think about this than a judge would who is being asked to grant a bond. To issue a warrant. But I would ask this court to consider the legal argument I'm making based upon the four corners of what you have in the testimony. I would submit to you that you don't have probable cause to establish a burglary occurred. And on that basis alone, he should be ROR'd on that count. If you believe that, well, you will believe what you feel is appropriate, Judge. I would just ask you, under these circumstances, to define within your discretion the lowest possible, less restrictive amount of bond. Certainly, it's not going to alter. My client has no record. He's got incredible ties to the community. He's a businessman. He's married. He's never been in trouble in his life. I can't present to you a better client for a low bond or a non-bond. And I would also point out, Judge, knowing he had no bond warrant, he appeared voluntarily.
I'm aware of that fact. Ms. Honeymer, did you want to respond?
Your Honor, just briefly, one, based off of his finances, $50,000 isn't a high bond for this individual. That's something that the court is supposed to take into account. A $50,000 bond ensures that he does appear for his court dates as well, and that he doesn't flee, which is one of the factors to consider. Additionally, probable cause has already been found. This witness it's not her home. She doesn't have the authority to invite others into the home. She's just a guest herself. That doesn't give her the right to invite others. But again, probable cause has already been found. We're not here on that issue. So the state thinks that a $50,000 bond, given the severity of the injuries as well to the victim, the testimony that we heard here today, as well as what's stated in the affidavit, the state believes that a $50,000 bond on count 2 is a reasonable bond.
And I imagine the state will be ready to reimburse him the money it will cost him to bond out if all charges are no info by the prosecutor when they review the case. I mean,
I don't know
get
if that's going to happen or not.
No, we
I
don't.
understand your arguments, but Mr.
was gonna
Aikens,
flee, Judge, if he-
hold on, you're interrupting.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I'm trying to speak. I've let you speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Aikens, all your points are well taken, but Mr. Aikens, it may not go the way that you think it's going to go for Mr. Aikens, and he has the ability, with his resources, to be able to leave. So I definitely am taking that into consideration. I don't doubt his ties to the community. I don't take any issue with that, and I understand your points about the criteria in setting bond.
I was only trying to point out to the court that if he was a flight risk, he wouldn't be here having voluntarily surrendered immediately upon finding out.
I don't necessarily think he's a flight risk today. You're predicating your entire argument on the fact that the case is probably going to be null pros. I have no idea if that's going to happen. So if it doesn't go the way that you may think it goes, this is a punishable by life felony. I don't know what the state's going to file on either. I don't know what charging decision they're going to make. So if it ends up going a different way, there may be an incentive to not reappear for court.
I understand. And Your Honor, I would say, I don't know if the court has ever been on the defense side of things. I've been both a prosecutor and a defense attorney. But I will try this case standing on my head in front of a jury in Orange County any day of the week if necessary.
I understand,
Hopefully it
sir.
won't come to that.
I understand. I'm setting bond at $5,000 on count 1 and $10,000 on count 2.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, do I need to prepare any type of order for
You do not. You'll get court minutes.
Thank you for your patience and your consideration, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, counsel.
You still got some money. You gotta go
Oh,
ahead.
that way.
Everett?
Good afternoon, Mr. Moses.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right. This is case number 20 CF 10848. Sir, good afternoon. Please tell me your name.
Earl Everett.
All right, Mr. Everett, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause capias. The state has filed a one-count information charging you with lewd or lascivious molestation. Mr. Moses, would you place your appearance on the record, please?
Yes, Andrew Moses on behalf of Mr. Everett, Your Honor.
Okay. Is the state moving forward on proof evident or presumption great?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have a bond recommendation?
Your Honor, the state would be requesting a high bond in this case in the amount of $100,000, as well as other conditions. I can go into if you want me to go into the conditions or save.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the other conditions would be to no contact at all with anyone under the age of 18, not just unsupervised, but absolutely none. No contact with the victim or witnesses, surrender passport, no weapons or firearms. And then I've had conversations with the defense attorney, Your Honor, regarding there was a school being kind of operated out of the house. The state would request that to cease operations regarding that as well. Because the school, it was children were coming to the house.
Right. What if Mr. Everett was not there?
Okay.
It's a non-issue, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mrs. Everett was a piano teacher, but since COVID, no one's come to the home. So
Okay.
she was doing a couple FaceTime ones, but she's not even doing that anymore, so.
It's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
Okay, so you're okay if I were to order that?
That's not a problem.
Okay.
I actually spoke with her yesterday that's ceased since COVID.
Okay.
As far as No firearms, no contact with minors, all not a problem, Your Honor. I've actually been in touch with Mr. Everett's wife. He does have a passport. She's on her way to my office to bring it to me. I can have it surrendered, I assume, to the clerk of the court is sufficient?
Sometimes that's tricky. So should he bring it here? The passport? Downtown? Okay. Sometimes the hold gets tricky.
That's what I was a little worried about, so I've done it both ways. If you're telling me that going to downtown is fine, I will.
But it's going to be in your possession?
Yes, she's on her way now.
Okay. All right. So I probably would just order that needs to be surrendered to the clerk of the court within 24 hours of his release from custody. That way it doesn't
Not a problem.
That's fine, Your Honor.
create a hold. Okay. I trust that you'll
Yes,
get it there, Mr.
I will have
Moses.
that done, Your Honor.
Okay. And so are there any other conditions?
I believe I stated all the conditions necessary. Your Honor, as far as the monetary amount, I would simply state that Mr. Everett is 70 years old. He is retired. His wife is retired. He is a veteran. They are homeowners.
Okay. Did you want to swear him in?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Everett, could you please raise your right hand?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr. Everett, I'm going to ask you a few questions, just talking about finances, okay? I had said a couple things to the court, but I want to confirm that you are yourself retired, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and your wife is retired as well?
Yes, she is.
Do you have any income at this point?
Only Social Security. I have my Social Security, and my wife starts her Social Security in October.
Okay, but you guys do in fact own your home, is that correct?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Other than Social Security for you and what will soon be your wife, do you have any income?
No.
Okay. And we had spoken earlier, and I understand that you're currently getting mental health treatment at the Veterans Administration, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, does that mean that you are in fact a veteran?
Yes, I
Do you
am.
get any sort of veterans monetary benefits?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the only income at this point is that correct?
That's correct.
And can you tell the court the approximate value of your home?
Approximately $300,000, I think.
Okay. And as far as any money in savings account or other accounts, do you have any?
Probably combined, maybe we have $40,000.
I don't have any further questions.
Mr. Everett, is your home paid off?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I don't want to be too personal about your medical issues. I'm just wondering, how often do you go to the VA?
Yes. I've been diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorders.
How often do you go?
Once a week, I meet with my peer group, and about once a month, I meet with my psychologist.
Okay. Are you being treated for any medical conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease?
I mean, I have some prostate issues, hypertension, things like that I'm being treated for.
Okay.
And I'm on medications for the depression and for the anxiety.
Okay. Ms. Heinemer, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Moses, is there, I have a couple other questions. Mr. Everett, how long have you lived in Florida?
Probably 40 years.
And besides your wife, do you have any other family here?
No, just my wife's family.
Your wife's family?
Yes.
So you do have family in the area?
Yes, her family's here. I don't have any family now.
Mr. Moses, is there a amount that you are requesting?
I would ask the court to set a $50,000 bond. I understand that.
Did you say 50?
50, yes, ma'am. I understand the nature of the charges are serious, and I can appreciate that, but I think a $50,000 bond would be sufficient to secure Mr. Everett's court appearances.
Mr. Everett, you are not to have any contact with any children under the age of 18. Mr. Moses is going to surrender your passport within 24 hours of your release from the jail.
Okay.
You are not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Okay.
And you or your wife are not to conduct a school out of your home.
Okay.
And I will set bond in the amount of $50,000.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good weekend.
You too, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Dale, Mario?
Good afternoon, your name, sir? Tell me your name.
Mario Bell.
Mr. Bell, you are here in case number 20 CF 5177. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. For grand theft, third degree, dealing in stolen property, false verification or ownership to a pawnbroker, and receiving money from a pawnbroker. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene, or you are not to go to any pawn shops. Your bond on count 1 is 150. Bond on count 2, 2,500. Bond on count 3, 150. Bond on count 4, 150. And I'm revoking the bond in 20 CF 3087. That's going to be set at none. Thank you.
Next person, Gregory Charles, Your Honor, refused to come.
Mr. Charles, all right, did I not say that? I thought I did. No contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no. All right, thank you, Marie. Mr. Charles refused to come. I'm gonna find a waiver of his appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. He was arrested in 20 CF 10943 pursuant to a probable cause warrant for robbery, aggravated battery with a motor vehicle, leaving the scene of a crash with injuries and no valid driver's license. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. Bond on count 1 is 5,000. Bond on count 2, 150. Bond on count 3, 150. Bond on count 4, 100. He's not to have any contact with the victim or possess any weapons or firearms. I'm revoking the bond in both of the out on bond cases. Those will be set at none. And then in 20 MM 479, he was arrested for resisting officer without violence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him in that case, and the bond is $500. Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Patricia Clareny.
Miss Clarity, you were here in 20 CF 11591. You were arrested for possession of cocaine. There is probable cause, ma'am. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time, ma'am.
Thank
You'll
you.
need to contact the public defender's office by 5 p.m. on Monday because it's a weekend to make sure that
By
they know.
five- okay.
So that they know how to get in contact with you for your court date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. Your name?
Shannon Cosby.
Miss Cosby, you're here in 20 CF 11314. You were arrested for using the ID of another greater than 50,000 and scheming to defraud. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with any of the victims. I'm going to set your bond at $5,000 on count 1 and $150 on count 2. I'm also going to place you on pretrial release, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Elijah Orlando, ma'am.
Sir, this is 20 CF 11602. You were arrested for aggravated stalking with a credible threat and battery. This was pursuant to a probable cause warrant. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 2 is $100. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Antonio Jones.
Mr. Jones, you were arrested in 2 cases. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in both. In 20 CF 11586, you were arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia, trafficking in methamphetamines, 14 grams or more, possession of hallucinogen with intent to sell, manufacture, or deliver, and public crimes disorder, which is keeping a nuisance structure for drug use. I needed to look up count 3. So, Ms. Heimer, I'm looking at count 3. I don't know if methamphetamine fits into that schedule as a hallucinogen, but I didn't see any drugs listed in the affidavit that that I normally see under that statute. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Your Honor, can I pull up the drug matrix and see what it's listed under for
Sure.
like DREs?
The only other drug was marijuana.
That actually is listed as a hallucinogen.
Oh, yep. Thank you.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay, so there is probable cause for all of the offenses, sir. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $150. Your bond on count 2 is going to be $25,000. Bond on count 3 is going to be $150. Bond on count 4 is $150. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substance. You are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You're not to drive without a valid driver's license, sir. In 20 CT 5941, you were arrested for driving without a valid driver's license. There's probable cause and your bond is $100. Thank you, sir. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Casey Keith.
Mr. Keith, this is 20 CF 11542. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, resisting officer without violence, 2 counts of possession of drug paraphernalia, reckless driving, 2 additional counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, another count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, another count, possession of a controlled substance, 2 additional counts of possession of drug paraphernalia, fleeing and eluding, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and resisting officer without violence in the form of fleeing and eluding. There is probable cause, sir. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you in that case as well as your out-of-county cases so that they can coordinate with Brevard County on those cases for you, sir. Bond on count 1 is going to be $15,000. Bond on count 2 is going to be $100. Bond on count 3, $100. I'll ROR you on count 4. Count 5, $500. Count 6, $100. Count 7, $100. 8, $100. 9, $150. 10 and 11 ROR. 12, $1,500, 13, $150, 14, $150. And then you have some out-of-county cases from Brevard County, sir. They're violations of probation. Your bond is set at none in each of those. As I stated, I will appoint the public defender to represent you to coordinate with Brevard County. Thank you.
Yes, the next person, Ronald King, is mental health.
Okay. Ms. Felter, I'm going to appoint your office to represent Mr. King. Did you want to waive his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's 20 CF 11593. He was arrested for possession of methamphetamine and possession of cannabis with intent to distribute. There is probable cause. Bond on count 1 is $1,000. Bond on count 2 is $150. and that provides the basis for the violation of probation in Bay County. In that matter, his probation will be set, or I'm sorry, his bond will be set at none, and he has reporting requirements when he's released from the jail, and the bond will remain none on the second violation of probation.
And after that, if we still have Joe Glover, he bonded.
Okay? Are you Mr. McDowell?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. McDowell, sir, you are here in case number 20 CF 11590. You were arrested for burglary of a dwelling, aggravated assault with a motor vehicle, possession of cannabis less than 20 grams, and sanitary nuisance. There's probable cause for the offenses. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to return to the scene or have any contact with the victim. You're also not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $5,000. Your bond on count 2 is going to be $150. Bond on count 3, $100. Bond on count 4, $100. I am going to revoke the bond in 20 CF 7637. That will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
Excuse me?
Your bond on your out on bond case, the aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, is being revoked. So you'll need to get Mr. Stewart to file a bond motion in Division 10.
So I can't bond out today?
No, sir.
This is crazy, Your Honor, because I'm innocent. I didn't even do
You
nothing.
may be. You'll need to talk to your lawyer about that, sir. Thank you.
How could I talk to my lawyer? On what phone? How could I talk to you? There ain't even no talking to you.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Felicia Miller-Simmons.
Ma'am, this is 20 CF 11540. You were arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and trespass on property after warning. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. Ms. Miller-Simmons, where do you live?
I live with a friend.
Do you live here in Orlando?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you lived here?
All my life.
Okay. Ms. McSimmons, I've appointed the public defender to represent you. You need to contact them with, well, you'll have to contact them by 5 p.m. on Monday because today's Friday. Okay? And I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. Make sure you contact the public defender's office. Oh,
There's a holiday, just.
oh, you're right, it is. I've
So
told
I
that to
don't
2 other
think
people. Thank you.
It's okay.
So you need to call them by Tuesday at 5 because they won't be there on Monday either.
Yes, ma'am.
So that way they have a good address and a good phone number for you so that you do not miss court. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Ryan Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for possession of MDMA and possession of cannabis less than 20 grams. There is probable cause.
They haven't showed me the stuff, so I don't know what
Hold
they're
on,
charged.
just a second.
Oh.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. Mr. Mitchell, where do you live?
I just moved somewhere with a friend.
Where?
I just moved somewhere with a friend.
All right, here in Orlando?
Yeah, here in Orlando.
How long have you lived in the Central Florida
30
area?
I lived here just about not all my life.
How
Like
long?
what? It's probably 15 years.
15 years? Are you
Mhm.
working?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you working?
I work at 7-Eleven
Which one?
on the Parker Valley.
Okay. Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance at this time. You need to contact the public defender's office by 5 p.m. on Tuesday to make sure they have a good phone number for you and a good address.
Okay.
That way you know when your next court date is. If you fail to appear, there'll be a warrant issued for your arrest, sir. Do you understand?
I didn't know this one, but okay. So I can still go on my bond?
You don't have to pay a bond.
I'll go home?
You can go to your home.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Your name?
Sean Pope.
Mr. Polk, you were here in 20 CF 11600. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for robbery with a firearm. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to possess any weapons or firearms or return to the scene. Ms. Honeymeyer, did you want to be heard with respect to bond?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is proceeding forward on proof evident presumption great based off of the probable cause arrest affidavit, which includes statements from the victim, the photo lineup, as well as using IP address locations to match it to the defendant, as well as obtaining records from OfferUp that show the defendant being the owner of those accounts as well. So based off of all of that, the state feels that there is proof evident presumption great and that the bond should be stayed at none.
All right. Ms. Felter, do you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the affidavit, the warrant, the defense states that the guilt evidence, the presumption is not great, Your Honor. Under the Constitution, we're asking you to set bond in this case, Your Honor. Okay. Nothing further.
Thank you. So I do believe that the state has met their burden to establish that there is proof evident or presumption great based upon the information that is contained in the arrest affidavit. So at this time, Mr. Polk, your bond is going to remain at none as to that case. Your lawyer can file a bond motion in Division 14 to see if the judge would like to set bond. I'm going to revoke the bond in 19 CF 10147. That bond will be set at none. Thank you, sir.
I need to get him a, I need to get him a piece
Hold
of
on,
paper.
she said, hold on. Step up, sir. No, not.
No, you.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Joyce Pugh.
Mr. Pugh, this is 20 CF 11548. You were arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You are not to have any contact with the victim, return to the scene, or possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $2,500, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to write down the other case number.
Good afternoon. Your name, sir?
Christopher Reese.
Mr. Reese, this is 20 CF 11584. You were arrested for robbery, sudden snatching. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to have any contact with the victim. You are not to return to the scene. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond is $1,000, sir. Thank you.
Your Honor, can we skip over Reyes? He had to run to the restroom.
Sure. Good afternoon. Are you Miss Richardson?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Richardson, you were here in 20 CF 10851. You were arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. The state has filed a 1-count information charging you with the same. You are not to return to Walmart or have any contact with the witnesses. Your bond is $1,000. And I'm not going to revoke your out on bond case.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is Justin Reyes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Justin Rodney Reyes, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Reyes. You were here in 20 CF 11594. You were arrested for possession of a Lazapram and loitering or prowling.
I don't believe so. Which one was that?
No, I'm telling you what you got arrested for. You were arrested for possession of a Lazapram and loitering or prowling. There's probable cause, sir. Your affidavit states that you make $3,500 per month and you have no dependents. Is that correct?
Yeah. I just got a freelance job where I've been paying a lot, but I'm paying rent and stuff too, so I end up with like $400 left at the end of the month.
I'm going to appoint the public defender, sir, to represent you. Also, Mr. Reyes, I just signed a violation of probation warrant this afternoon, so you're going to come back tomorrow morning and see the judge on that case. Bond in this case is $1,000 on count 1 and $100 on count 2. I need to look at something.
Come on, Crystal.
Now I know. Okay. Good afternoon. Your name?
Ramon.
What's your name?
Raymond. Rosa Soto.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, ma'am.
That's okay. You are here. You have two cases. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you in both. You have 20 CF 11601. You were arrested for leaving the scene of a crash with property damage and driving while license suspended, third or subsequent revocation. There's probable cause for those offenses. Bond on count 1 is going to be $150. Bond on count 2 will be $2,500. You also have 20 CF 11603. You were arrested for destroying or altering evidence. I don't find probable cause for possession of heroin with intent to sell, but I do find probable cause for possession of heroin. Ms. Honeymeyer, did you see any facts that indicated that there was any intent to sell?
Your Honor, if I could have a moment.
Sure.
No, Your Honor, the state has no evidence for the intent to sell aspect.
Okay, so you have no objection to just finding possession of heroin?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Rosado, in 20 CF 11603, you were arrested for, again, trying to alter or conceal evidence. Count 2, I find a lesser included offense of possession of heroin and threatening a public servant. Your bond on count 1 is $1,000. Your bond on count 2 is going to be $2,500. Bond on count 3 will be $150. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. You will be tested randomly through pre-trial release, and you're not to have any contact with any of the victims. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good afternoon. Your name?
Crystal Rascovius.
Ma'am, you are here in case number 20 CF 11585. You were arrested for delivery or distribution of methamphetamine, use or possession of drug paraphernalia to transport drugs, keeping a nuisance structure for drug use, and trafficking in methamphetamines over 14 grams. There is probable cause. I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you. You're not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Bond on count 1 is going to be $5,000. Bond on count 2 is going to be $150. Bond on count 3 is $150. Bond on count 4 will be $25,000. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good afternoon. Are you Mr. Woodson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Woodson, you are here in case number 20 CF 11503. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for failing to report vacating your residence within 48 hours. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you. gonna set your bond at $1,000, and you do have reporting requirements when you're released from the jail.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else from the state or the defense?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right, then court will be in recess.